It's time to set out on another adventure with me, the casual competitor, and my dog Obi. We're back with another Battle of the Boxes. This time we're heading to Kaldheim for some Viking shenanigans. Alright, we are back again. We got ourselves some Kaldheim boxes this time. We're going to be opening one of each of them, starting with the regular set box, or the regular original draft box. Then we got the set box and the collector box again. This is your standard 36-pack draft box. This time around, we do not have any form of a box topper to them. There will be box toppers in the set and collector boxes, to my knowledge, but not in the regular draft box. So let's get this open here. Right off the rip, I've been very excited. This is not the first box that I've opened of this. I'm hoping that we get some cool looking cards out of them. There is definitely some really awesome showcase art in this set. Let me get those off to the side. First pack here. These are what I call, I don't know if it's the proper term for it, but I call them Japanese style pack. It has the token, then your basic land, any foils. Oh, right off the rip, we got a Quakebringer, a nice, awesome mythic, nice giant here. But yeah, it has it kind of backwards. Then we have our uncommons and our commons here. This set has some pretty awesome commons. One of my favorite one is the new lightning bolt. It is frostbite, normally does 2 damage, but if you control enough snow permanents, it does 3 damage. Alright, so in each of these packs, you're going to get either a snow basic, or there is the potential for a snow dual. So draft-wise, you're always going to get some number of snow lands. There's one of those frostbites I was talking about. And this is a snow instant. There's a lot of good snow synergy going on. They did snow a little bit differently than in previous packs here. Frieja's Retribution. I can't pronounce all of these cards. Not up to date on my Norse translations. But yeah, I've so far been really stoked about this set. The set has a lot of cool stuff in it. One of the major things that I've really liked about this set is the fact that we have a lot of different tribes that we haven't seen before that are starting to get some limelight. We have giants being a whole thing. We have changelings being a whole thing. Oh, we already got an alternate art card, and we got a foil rare here. We got a foil old growth troll, and we got Magla Brazen Outlaw. Beautiful card. I love this border. This border's been pretty amazing on everything I've seen it on. There's only like 2 cards that I actually prefer the original art on. But yeah, this type of art is just really cool to me. It reminds me of, you know, everything. Like, seems like something you'd see carved into the side of a ship, which obviously is very Norse. A Cosmic Elixir here. There's a lot of sagas. Most of your multicolor, well actually all of your multicolor cards are either uncommon or above. There is no common multicolor cards. And but you do have a lot of sagas. There's, I think, a total of 10 uncommon sagas and 10 rare sagas. Another dual land, a Rune Champion. Alright. I like the snow design as well. The snow design is really cool, how it has like the whole faded and frosted over appearance to it. Gives it a whole nice little edge. Tybalt counter or token. Ooh, Realm Walker. That's a bit of a dud. As I'm certain I mentioned before, I always hate getting buy a box promos. That's the buy a box promo for this set. As you can see, not all of these are rare. There are some uncommons that you can get with that border. I think there's a couple commons too, but I can't remember for certain. But I know that there's definitely a good bit of uncommons, rares, and definitely mythics that have that border. We have some gods in this set. We have some really cool planeswalkers. Ooh, Seraph Realm Eater. The art on this card is good, but like I said, I mean, hopefully we eventually see the alternate art for it. But I love that card's design. That's definitely a card that, from Spoiler, I've been keeping an eye on. I definitely want to get it into a deck and get it tried out, because I definitely think it's a good card for Standard, maybe even elsewhere. We'll have to wait and see on that. A Glorious Protector. Yeah, we're expecting a lot of snow here, both in real life. As I'm opening this today, we're expecting 9 inches of snow in real life where I live. So I felt like it was a good day to crack this box open and look at some snowlands and different things like that. Herald Unites the Elves here. This is one of the rare sagas, as I was talking about. We have a whole bunch of different ones, but there's, I think, one for each 2-color combination out there. There is a ton of different lands. We have a whole set of uncommon utility lands. We have the common snow dual lands, and then we got a couple rare lands too. Oh, this is one of the more expensive cards right now in the set, Mystic Reflection. This card, I actually found out a little earlier, is really dirty. It costs 2 to change any creature that enters the battlefield after that card is played into target on the battlefield. Long story short, you can either A, play it and then play some low drops and make them ridiculous things that you already have on the battlefield, or if you want to flip the script, you can play it at instant speed on your opponent's turn and turn all of their stuff that they're trying to play into, something ridiculously small. Like, say, for example, they, go off and try to make, like, 10 4/4 angels, either Miracle or something else, and you turn around and you're like, ha, I'm going to turn them all into this 1/1 bird token I gave you a couple turns ago. That's really dirty for 1 blue mana, but it's a good card, and I respect it, but it seems so terrifying to see across the battlefield. We got an alternate art Camdor Doomscourge here, and Crippling Fear. Crippling Fear is pretty good. I like it. Nice situational board wipe. There is actually a couple board wipes in the set, so that's always helpful. I think Doomscar is a little bit scary too, but we'll see. We'll see what actually gets played from the set, so. The scary cards might not actually see a ton of play. An Ascendant Spirit. I like the fact that slowly we're getting these kind of like evolving creatures over time. It reminds me a lot of some cards from previous sets that were very similar to it. In which case, it starts out as one thing, and then as you kind of pump mana into it, it upgrades into other things. Gives a throwback to level up, but it actually does change your creature types and everything along those lines. With this one in particular, it starts out as a spirit, 1/1 spirit, then it becomes a 2/3 spirit warrior, then it becomes a 4/4 spirit warrior angel. I do believe it gains flying there. Yeah, you put a flying counter on it, and then it becomes a it gets 2 +1/+1 counters after that, and gains whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So slowly you go from just having a 1/1 spirit to a 4/4 angel spirit warrior that can draw you additional cards, and for 4 mana you can pump it permanently, and that's all really good. So we got a legendary snow creature here. This is one of the gods. The gods in the set are a little bit different, rather than being indestructible or like the Amonkhet gods that can come back from your graveyard and go back into your deck. These ones instead have a modal. They can either enter as an item or enter as a god, and you have the cost down here just like with other modal cards. So whenever he attacks, you untap each snow permanent you control. Or if you flip him over, you may play target snow permanent card from your graveyard. This turn, if you do, it enters the battlefield tapped. So what's really interesting about these gods is that they give you a reason to play a 4 of legendary card in your deck, as well as giving you actually 2 separate cards that synergize together perfectly. Because obviously, one side, okay, I'm going to swing with my god, and everything will untap, so whatever snow permanent I got back from the graveyard tapped will then actually be untapped after I swing. A Blood Sky Massacre here. Morite of the Frost, a beautiful card. Very beautiful. Got some uncommons here. So far though, I'm pretty pleased with this box. Got some good stuff going on. We got a Foretell. There's another Old Growth Dryad. The Trickster God's Heist. Right now there's not really too many uncommons or commons that are super high. Some of the set box exclusive cards are a little over the top, but I think that's just because we don't know how common they will actually be from the set boosters. Ooh, there we go. Full art pathway. They finished out all of the pathways in the set, which is really cool. I'm really happy about that. The full art pathway there is always a good card to pull off. I'm always a fan. I like my lands being full art. I actually, for this standard season, I pulled out all of my old Snow Duel lands that were full art from, I think it was either Modern Horizons or one of the Modern Master sets. Okay, we got another god here. This one is Kolvori, God of Kinship. As long as you control 3 or more legendary creatures, Kolvori gets +4/+2 and has Vigilance. She's normally a 2/4, and you can tap 2 and tap her. Look at the top card of your library. You may reveal a legendary creature card from among them, put it in your hand, or the rest go on the bottom of your library in a random order. And her flip side, as it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. You can add green, spend this mana only to cast a creature spell of the chosen type, or a legendary creature spell. So, you know, if you're going for like a tribal deck in green, you can definitely play her on her own. But, you know, if you look at it and be like, hey, I got like 6 legends in here that I want to play, she's also really good because she could become, you know, 6/6 with, you know, she's just got major upside the more legends you are playing. We got a snow-covered foil island. Know somebody who's going to be definitely wanting that. Once again, another god. This one's terrifying. A 3-drop 6/6 with Death Touch, but at the beginning of your upkeep, you exile 2 cards from your graveyard. If you can't, you sacrifice him and draw a card. And then on the flip side, at the beginning of your upkeep, mill a card. You can tap 2 and a black, tap it, exile a creature card from your graveyard to draw a card. So once again, though, like that cuts his upkeep cost in half. If you're like playing a kill spell every turn, or, you know, any instant, or even just something else that mills you, you're able to actually get to the point that, you know, you kind of negate his 2 cards from your graveyard, and you just basically, you know, turn into, oh look, here's my 6/6 Death Toucher on turn 3 with very little downside. I like the card a lot. In Search of Greatness. This card is deceptively good. It reminds me a lot of Birthing Pod, but I don't know. There's a lot of stipulations to it that a lot of people aren't seeing. My initial thought was, oh my goodness, is this powerful? But the more I get to see it, and I actually got to play with it in pre-release, it's not as good. You actually have to stay perfectly on curve with it, so you need to constantly be looking for specific mana costs, which is kind of rough to accomplish. Alright, we got Battle of Frost and Fire here. Once again, another saga. Like I said, there's a ton of them in this set. You know, at this rate, I think we might be able to pull off one of every saga in this box. That'd be kind of cool. That'd be an achievement, right? Get 10 of your rares to be saga. Okay. Now that is pretty. That's a foil there. Foil, it's an uncommon, but Finn the Fangbearer, a very interesting card to begin with. It is the only card in the set to mention poison counters. But it is a 1/3 for 2 with Death Touch, and whenever a creature you control with Death Touch deals combat damage to a player, that player gets 2 poison counters. This would give a lot of people flashbacks to New Phyrexia, Infect, and even earlier than that, Poison was its own ability as well, in which if you received 10 poison counters, you automatically lost the game regardless of your life total. So, unlike Infect, which dealt damage in poison counters, and dealt damage in neg 1 counters to players, basically melding Poison and Wither, 2 older abilities, into 1. This just gives them 2. But if you have 5 Death Touch creatures that connect in 1 turn, that's still lethal. Like that, it's still an amazing card, and it's still terrifying. Reflections of Lejara is our rare in this pack. Right. So we're almost 2/3 through here. I think we've only hit 1 mythic so far, though. So we're kind of due for another one. Let's see what we got. Oh, well, I said we're due, right? Goldspan Dragon, 3rd most expensive card in the set. It's flying haste. Whenever it attacks or becomes the target of a spell or ability, you get a treasure token. And treasures, sack, and add 2 mana of any 1 color. So it just basically is a 3 mana dragon when you really think about it. If you're able to play a 2-drop on the same turn you play that, you're just making mad profit off of it. And even still, it's just a 4/4 flying haste creature for 5. Like that's kind of the curve for good dragons. 4/4 flying haste dragons for 5 is definitely a kind of standard. We have a snow creature here, Drog Necromancer, Zombie Cleric. If a non-token creature an opponent controls would die, exile that card with an ice counter on it instead. You may cast spells from among cards in exile your opponent's own with ice counters on them. And you may spend mana from snow sources as though they were mana of any color in order to do it. Some of these cards like that in particular, we're going to see a lot more of in Standard than we would in Limited, because in Limited you don't have access to all your snowlands, but in Standard there is no reason to replace your basic mountains with snow mountains, or like your basic swamps with snow swamps. Cyclone Summoner, big old bounce giants. Like I said, that's one of the few tribes that's getting a whole bunch of playtime with this set. Giants are all over it. You don't see many of them outside of this set. But in the past couple of years, they've definitely been setting up. Getting us a few giants, Bone Crusher being obviously one of them. Realm, I think it's Realm Walker. Oh, I can't remember his name. The big Realm Cloak Giant, that's it. Took me a second there. My bad. Bergi, God of Storytelling, a.k.a. I was made for Storm. Whenever you cast a spell, you add red. Until the end of turn, you don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. Creatures you control can boast twice during each of your turns rather than once. So the boast side of it is obviously good for Standard and for Limited, but the mana, like this in an Electromancer, means that you're playing your rituals for free. You would play your ritual, get a red back from this. It would be -1 from the Electromancer. So your ritual would net you 4 red mana. And you just basically never run out of red mana as long as you're able to continue to play spells. Her flip side is all 5-drop. So it's not the best thing for Storm, because Storm doesn't really want to dump 5 mana into it. But it enables you to discard a card and exile the top 2 cards of your library. You may play those cards until this turn. Play those cards this turn. So basically the turn that you exile them. What's cool about that, though, is the fact that, say you're say you are playing Storm, you're comboing out, you almost got there, but then you run out of cards and you have 2 Burgy in your hand and you have 7 mana. Well, guess what? You can play one as a Horn, and then, ooh, we got a Kea. And then exile the other card from your hand to go and get more. So this is our 3rd Mythic out of here. Kea the Inexorable. She's one of those cards, like I said, that's very terrifying to me. Her +1 is ungodly good. Put a Ghost Form counter on up to 1 target non-token creature. It gains whenever this creature dies or is put into exile. Return it to its owner's hand and create a 1/1 spirit, white spirit creature token with flying. So basically, no matter what you do, if that first ability resolves, that creature is going back to them. You cannot stop that. There's no way around it. Because it gains the ability that's not linked to the Ghost Form counter. So even if you had a way of removing the counters from it, it still wouldn't actually get rid of that. Her -3 exiles target non-land permanent, and her -7 you get an emblem with at the beginning of your upkeep. You may cast a legendary spell from your hand, from your graveyard, or from among cards you own in exile without paying its mana cost. So legendary spells are 90% of the time creatures, but looking a little bit outside of standard, you actually have the ability to use that with as terrifying as it sounds, Urza's Ruinous Blast, and just board wipe every turn. There's a couple other cards that are legendary. That's the only one that I think would be really problematic. I could definitely see that in Commander though. Ooh, here's another good rare, another high-priced one. The World Tree. This is actually one of my favorite lands in this set, just because I like the design of it. It enters the battlefield tapped and can tap for green. But as long as you control 6 or more lands you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color. And then for 2 white, 2 blue, 2 black, 2 red, 2 green, and then so once, basically, with this on the battlefield, once you get to 11 lands, you sacrifice the World Tree, search your library for any number of God cards, put them into the battlefield, then shuffle your library. The actual sack of that card may seem a little lackluster. I'm not going to point it out unless we get the card. If we don't get the card, then I'll point it out whenever we get one from the other boxes here. But there is actually a card that combos with it in this set that actually I'm hoping to eventually see somebody pull it off in Limited. Be it in a draft, be it in sealed, I don't care. I want to see somebody pull this off. Alright, so we got a Calamity Bearer and a foil Majah Bredegard Protector. Once again, another giant. If a giant source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals double that damage to that permanent or player instead. So step aside, Torbjorn. Ooh, nice. We got a alternate art Harald, King of Skamfar, the King of the Elves. And, like I said, so far we haven't seen any of these, so I think I could be wrong that there is some common ones. It could only be uncommons, rares, and mythics that have that special border. Ooh, we got a rare one. We got a Cosmia, or Cosima, God of the Voyage. And I really do. I love these. They remind me of, old ship pipes. Don't know if that's really what they're called or not, but I've seen a lot of smoking pipes that have ships carved into the side of them and things like that, and various things like that, the border and whatnot. So at the beginning of your upkeep, you may exile Cosmia or Cosima. If you do, it gains whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control. If Cosmia is an exile, you may put a voyage counter on it. If you don't return Cosmia to the battlefield, or if you don't, then you return it to the battlefield with X plus and plus counters on it. Draw X cards, where X is the number of voyage counters on it. So basically, after turn 3, the following turn, you can exile it and leave it in exile and just start stacking counters on it. And eventually you return it to the battlefield, not only gigantic, but also drawing a buttload of cards. And its opposite side is a vehicle, the Omen Keel. Whenever a vehicle you control deals combat damage to a player, that player exiles that many cards from the top of their library. You may play lands from among those cards as long as they remain exiled. So once again, great synergy. This is actually one of the few gods, though, that I think you're going to be playing the Omen Keel first. You're going to be playing Omen Keel, you're going to be cracking in, stealing all of your opponent's lands, and then eventually playing the Cosmia side of it just to start ripping those lands and putting voyage counters on it. You know, that's a bit more of a long game play with that card, but I feel like that's the right long game play. The vehicle side is a 3/3 for 2 and only has a crew cost of 1, so it's not like you're actually putting too much into that basket. You could just kill them with the Omen Kill over time. Faceless Haven, it's a snow land. It can become a 4/3 creature with vigilance and all creature types until end of turn. It's still a land. And this is what I mean. This card requires you to have 3 snow in order to actually pull that off. So with that being said, you're looking at a lot basically of snow permanents on the battlefield for limited, but standard wise, if you're playing that card, you probably have already replaced all your basics with snow lands, and especially in other formats as well. But it is basically another Mutavault for most decks, which, you know, that's never a bad thing, I don't think. If you're playing tribal decks and you're playing X number of Mutavaults, you could probably swap some of them for that as just a kind of upgraded card. Foil Witch Crown, or Wither Crown, not Witch Crown, and Halvar, God of Battle. This is our 4th mythic here. He's a sword on the other side and equipment. Creatures you control that are enchanted or equipped have double strike. The beginning of each combat, you may attach target aura or equipment attached to a creature you control to target creature you control. So basically you can shimmy around your equipments and your auras as if they didn't have any cost to re-equip. And it's the Sword of the Realms is the other side of this card. Equipped creature gets +2/+0 and has vigilance. Whenever equipped creature dies, return it to its owner's hand. Equip cost is 1 in a white. A very good card. I like it. It's creative. It's a little bit different in the fact that I thought all of the gods, this was one of the first ones that were spoiled, so I thought all the gods were actually going to have that ability, where their equipment on the other side. But he's one of the few. Most of them are artifacts, but they're not all equipment. Elvish War Master. Whenever one or more elves enters the battlefield under your control, create a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token. This ability triggers only once each turn. And then you can tap 7. Elves you control get +2/+2 and gain death touch until end of turn. So going back, I actually never noticed that or not. Oh no, he's a human. I was going to say, our Death Touch guy over here that puts poison counters on things, I said if he's in this pack as well. That would have been a killer pack to have him limited. Yeah, with that being said, these two would work well together. You'd be building an elf deck with one random human, but that human would definitely give you mad payoff in the end if you're able to give all your elves Death Touch. And then just be like, I'll swing with all my Death Touch elves, and you can only block 6 of them, and 5 of them get through. I don't care, I'm only dealing 4 damage to you. Oh my goodness. Okay, I am beyond stoked. It's not foil, unfortunately. Let me see if I can't get you a really good image of this. This is not only the most expensive card of the set, but it is the card I've been hunting for, and I am so stoked to have 2 of them. As you can see, this might be a little hard for you to read. It's not in English. It's not in any other language that is earthly. This is a Phyrexian Verinslex. Verinslex is one of the Praetors of Phyrexia. He's the only Phyrexian in the set. He is actually the first creature to have Phyrexian as a creature type. And yeah, I am beyond stoked. This is my second Phyrexian one that I've pulled. And it is just gorgeous. As somebody who's been around since the days of New Phyrexia, this is not only very nostalgic for me, very exciting, but also super awesome to actually own this card. Like, to have that card in my collection is beyond exciting. Yeah, that is definitely what we want to see here. That is, like I said, the only card that's more expensive than that card is the foil version of that card. And rightfully so, because there's actually 3 versions of Kozilek, or not Kozilek, but Verinslex that you can get. Got a foil Egon here, yeah. So as I said, you know, he's good. We got a foil, and then we got a Dragonkin Berserker. He's one of the Boast creatures. It's actually, I think, our first rare Boast creature. So getting to talk about Boast for a quick second. He's a 2-drop with first strike. Boast abilities you activate cost 1 less to activate for each dragon you control. He has the highest boast cost out of any of the boasters. He costs 5 to boast, but once you do, you create a 5/5 red dragon creature token with flying. So this is like one of those good cards that's amazing early game because he's a 2/2 first striker. But late game, he's even better because now you got like 5 mana, you play your 2-drop, he survives a turn, the next turn you make a 5/5 dragon, who cares if he dies? And Boast is actually really cool because you don't have to choose when exactly you do it. You can do it at any point of combat. So before going to damage at any point, your opponent blocks it to get it off the battlefield, and you boast then, that's fine. But you can also, you know, go to blockers, they can block, and you can be like, hi, I got you, I have a pump spell, and I'll protect it this turn, and then next turn I'm going to be making some dragons. And it does cost 1 less for each dragon you control, so even your non-token dragons actually affect that as well. So our last rare of this box is a King Narfi's Betrayal, which is another one of the sagas. We did get a handful of sagas here. We got a alternate art Masia, and yeah, that's going to be this box. As far as the Battle of the Boxes go, this Phyrexian Verinslex is definitely putting a fight in this box for 100%. It's definitely going to be a big factor in which of these boxes actually holds the most value. Thanks for watching. I'll be back with some other boxes here in about, a couple days here. Thank you. Thanks for watching. I hope you had as much fun as we did making the video. Me and Obi will be up to more antics next week. Feel free to hit the like and subscribe button to see more of what we're up to, and we will be back soon with new videos.